All right, so welcome to our masterclass series for FFL Fury and FFL High Voltage. Today we're going to be doing um we're going to be doing product knowledge. This is in-home 201. Last week we did in-home 101. This week is in-home 201. These recordings are on the FFL Fury YouTube channel under the masterclass session. So today we're going to be talking about the order of carriers, which carriers to choose, and why are we choosing them. And we're also going to be going over some basic product knowledge. Okay, so everybody pay attention because I will be calling on you to make sure that you guys are paying attention because we are in class. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen. So everybody should be familiar. Everybody can still hear me, right?
Yep.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
So everybody should be familiar. Everybody should be familiar with fflnational.com. And if you're not, right now at this very moment, guys, I need you to save this link. Somebody needs to mute too. Save this link to your phone, fflnational.com, because this is where all of the information that you need in the home, before you get in the home, all the stuff that we talk about here on a daily basis is right here. But for today, we're going to be going to, and I'm going to start over. Today, we're going to be going to see these top. I'm on my phone. These buttons, these lines at the top, and then we're going to go to Agent Hub, and we're going to go to Start Here. Okay, and then we're going to go. So you can find. We're going to use this one. We're going to go to Downloads. And again, everything that Corinne talked about last week is here. But we're going to look at the whole life, in parentheses, final expense cheat sheet long. And if you're new, this is that you don't want to go. You probably don't want to start with the short version. You want to start with the long version because the long version has many more health issues listed in it. The short version is like a page long and it lists some very basic health issues. So real quickly, let's see. Who can tell me? I can't share and see who's paying attention. But who can tell me what's the basic difference between term and whole life?
Term is only for a period of time. Whole life is for your whole life.
That is correct. That's one aspect of it.
Term is also cheaper, and whole life is more expensive and for older people.
Sometimes that's close. You said good, but those are good. That's a good start. So let me, and you guys, I hope everybody's taking notes. So this is the part that probably it confuses people most often at the beginning. When should you use term? Sometimes we call it mortgage protection. And when should you use whole life? And sometimes we call it final expense. Most of the time you're going to hear it's called whole life final expense. So Yusuf just said it. Term is good for a period of time. It's less expensive. And you can get more coverage, right? Whole life covers you for your whole life. It's more expensive and the coverage is less most times, right? So the way that you can kind of make this make sense in your mind, this is what I had to do because I came from a company that only sold term. And so it was hard for me to kind of, in my mind, really understand why we use one over the other, right? So it really depends. We have so many different carriers, guys, because the reason we have different carriers because different carriers take different health conditions, right? And then even within the carriers, different products take different health conditions. So for an example, Americo, and I'm gonna go through the order of carriers in just a minute, but Americo has their final expense product is Americo Eagle, and then they have 4 different term products. And so but the confusing part comes in, when do I choose what? And that's where the cheat sheet's going to come in. I'm going to go over the cheat sheet in a couple seconds. That's where the cheat sheet comes in. And that's also where that's also, I'm sorry, I'm thinking, I'm sorry, I'm tired. So the cheat sheet comes in is really trying to determine which company is going to take the client, right? And so, in an example, let's say so someone who is young and healthy, right? Let's say I'll use Corinne for example. Listen, Corinne's 33 years old, I think. Her son is 6 years old, and she doesn't have any health issues. We're not gonna give Corinne we're not gonna offer Corinne a $10, $20, $30,000 policy. Why? Because Corinne has a young son, and so if something happens to Corinne today or tomorrow, $10,000 is not going to help anybody raise her son, right? But the key is that Corinne, the key part is that she's healthy. Term is not for people that have a bunch of health issues. It doesn't matter how old they are. And the reason why, if you think about it, and I tell clients this because clients say you have a 67-year-old man, he got high blood pressure, diabetes, a stroke, cancer. I want $100,000 in coverage. And this is how you explain it, guys. You explain, and I'm kind of going into other stuff, but this is going to help. I know it's going to help some people today. The way that I explain that to that client who's 67 years old with a bunch of health issues that wants $100,000, I understand that. I'm gonna use your name, Yusuf. I understand that, Mr. Yusuf, that you want $100,000 in coverage. But one thing is, insurance companies, you have to qualify for insurance. You can't just buy it. Did you know that? Yeah. I knew that. No. Most of the time they're gonna say no. They did not know. Okay. So, and I explained, I'm not Mr. Yusuf. Insurance companies are in the bit, and I tell them just like this. Insurance companies are in the business of making money. Okay, and so the insurance companies are not, unfortunately, because of your health history, they're not going to offer you $100,000 in coverage because you have health issues. And so the insurance companies, just real talk, they don't want to deal with people that have a lot of risk. Now, they will offer you maybe 10, 20, 30,000, but they're not going to offer you that high amount of coverage because they know that the likelihood of something happened to you sooner than later is more possible to somebody who's healthy. Does that make sense? And most of the time they get it. Another analogy that I use is, I was telling one of my agents the other day, when we're talking about life insurance, your health is like your credit. So they're like, oh, you want to write a credit report? No, that's not what I'm saying. So just like if you had bad credit, Yusuf, if your credit was bad and you went to go get a car like a Range Rover, you're not going to get approved for the Range Rover because you don't qualify based on your credit history. But when we're talking about life insurance, you have to qualify for the life insurance. You don't buy it, you have to qualify for it. So just like with if you were going to buy a car, you got bad credit. If you have bad health history, the insurance companies don't want to take a chance on you because of your health history. Now they will offer you some coverage, but it's not going to be a big amount of coverage because they don't want to take on the risk. And that's the same thing with your credit. So a lot of times you explain it to them like that because of these clients, they see this stuff on TV. They say Globe Life, I can get $100,000 in coverage for $1. They see all these things, and then they think that they can just come and get whatever they want. We are the doctors. We're the professionals. We are the ones that tell them what they qualify for, but we have to lead them down the right road so that they're not confused about why they're only getting $10 or $20 or $30,000 in coverage and not the $100,000 that they wanted. Does anybody have any questions about that real quick?
How do
I hear somebody. Avis, you're already unmuted.
Oh, I am? Okay, I'm trying to phone. I don't know what I'm doing with this phone, but I just had a client that I was trying to do a policy for, and his health and everything is fine. But about 3 months ago, he was in a car accident. The accident was his fault. So that was another factor.
Okay, so I have a couple questions for you, Avis. So who did you call when you were with the client?
Oh, it was late. I didn't call anyone.
Okay, and so how late was it?
About 12:30.
AM?
Yes.
Okay. So do you know the agent hotline rings 24 hours a day and somebody will answer it?
No, I haven't done that.
Okay. So here, thank you for that comment. So this is why, guys, when you're in the home, it doesn't matter what time it is, you need to reach out and you need to call somebody and ask for help. Because you don't know what you don't know. And I'm not even, that's what I said. Thank you, Avis, for kind of like putting yourself on the spot. But everybody needs to hear this. You don't know what you don't know. And so when you think you've done the best, how old was the client, Avis?
I'm sorry?
How old was the client?
40.
40 years old. Okay. So I know without a shadow of a doubt, we had something that we could have covered that client. But because you didn't call, people won't call the hotline, and I get why you didn't, but you got to understand that the people that answer the hotline, most likely somebody that answered that hotline, if you make money, they make money too. You know that? So nobody's going to be mad that you called the hotline at 12:30 a.m.
Okay.
You with me? So that's how you guys are going to learn about which products, like that's really how you want to learn, right? Ask the questions early, like when you're still learning, so that eventually you don't have to call and ask any more questions, right? But if you don't call and ask the questions, how are you going to know which carrier to use? So you got to ask, right? If you don't know which step to take, call and ask somebody. That's what we're here for. Can somebody put the phone number for the agent hotline in the chat, please? So we can make sure that everybody has it.
Okay.
Okay. So back to the where I was. So we're looking at the whole life file expense cheat sheet, long version. And the reason we're going to look at this, guys, because most of the clients, depending on their health history, are only going to qualify for file expense. So this is why, again, when you're new, every time you're in a home, you should be calling the hotline. You should be calling your manager. You should be calling somebody for help, because most likely you're leaving money on the table when you don't call. 9 times out of 10 you are, because you think you've done everything. You think you've said everything. But how about have somebody else talk to your client on your behalf and maybe help them move in a direction that you couldn't get them? Because again, you don't know what you don't know, and we're here to help. So the file expense spreadsheet, somebody was telling me they did not understand how to read this. And I think it can be confusing, but we're going to start. First thing I want you guys to write down is the order of carriers. This is for final expense only that I'm talking about. We're only going to go over final expense today because final expense is the easiest product to sell. And it's not complicated. And then maybe we'll come back and do a training on the term. And that's probably we'll add that. So today we're just going to go through final expense, guys. So for final expense, the order carriers is Americo is number one. This how you want to look at this chart to figure out who to use first and who to use last. So you're gonna look at them in this order. And let me just make this note here. I know a lot of people are using the insurance toolkit, and that's great because it gives you an answer very quickly. But insurance toolkit does not put the carriers in the order that FFL is using. That you should be using the carriers at FFL. So you want to write down exactly what I'm saying about the order carriers, because we look at them in FFL in a certain order, and the toolkit is not putting them in the same order. So number one, we look at, we always look at American Eagle first. Always. Anybody know why?
They pay faster.
It's calm from process pay.
No, they'll tell you right then and there if they're declined.
That's the number one reason. Instant answer. Americo is the only company out of all of our companies that we had, was maybe John Hancock, but John Hancock's only term. Americo is the only company that gives us 100% answer on the spot every single time. Some companies, Mutual Omaha, depending on the client's health, they'll say, oh, they may be approved. That has to go through underwriting. Or it might be a straight decline. Americo is the only one that will tell you right then and there every time if the policy has been approved. So it gives your client, number one, peace of mind, right? It gives you, you know you don't have to look for any other carriers because the carrier, you've gotten them approved. Or you know that you need to look at a different carrier because you can't get them approved, right? So, and then as some people mentioned, Americo pays us the fastest. Americo has a bonus every 6 months. Annie, how much is their bonus?
10%.
That doesn't sound like Annie.
Sorry. My bad.
Thank you. 10%. So if you write $45,000, if you pay $45,000 in Americo volume, and it changed, like we're in the second part of, so this, you still have a chance to get it because it ends on November, whatever the last day of November is, it ends. But if you write $45,000 in Americo business between now and the end of November, they're going to pay you a 10% bonus. So if you write, and there's no limit to the bonus. So if you pay $45,000, you're going to get a check right before Christmas for $4,500 on top of what you've already made. So that's another reason. So it's instant answer. They pay the fastest, and then they give a bonus. There's no other company that does that. So we always look at Americo first. Any questions about anything I just said?
I think this is a question. I got a question for you. I mean, yes. I know I don't have a problem, but I'm pretty sure this is a question. So can you tell them how to pivot from Americo? They have to set up the table to know how to pivot, because you want to set your client up.
All right, Jamal, you've been plugged in, I can see. Okay, good point. So you talk to your client. Let me go back to the cheat sheet first, okay? So, Jamal, stay. I'm gonna use you. I'm gonna help.
Sure.
So we in Corinne. So if you're not familiar with what you need to do to prepare for your appointments, you need to go back to last week's training where Corinne went over preparing for your appointments. Okay, preparing to be in the home. So now you've already filled out your sheet, Jawan, right? Or I've already filled out my sheet. And then I asked you all the questions. Jawan, do you have any health issues? You have high blood pressure, diabetes, any of these things?
Rather some high blood pressure and maybe some diabetes, but nothing really major.
Okay, all right, perfect. And so what I do is I will tell, because Americo, and you can also do a practice application for Americo. If you go to ffl.americo.com, there's practice application. So ffl.americo.com. But Americo gives you kind of like a pre-approval. So you ask the client, so Jawan, let me get some basic, this is how I would do it, because I want to make sure Jawan is going to get approved for Americo, right? Because we give Jawan a rate and then he can't get the policy, we may have to go to another carrier that costs more. Okay, so Jawan, before I give you any quotes, I'm going to get you a pre-approval, and I'm going to and then I'll give you some quotes. Okay, so I'm going to get you some basic information from you, so that I can get a pre-approval. So I'm going to get the first part of the application asks for basic information: name, address, social, phone number, it asks how much coverage they're looking for, all that kind of stuff. And then it runs a prescription history check. So it's going to check the prescription, and the client has to sign, and then it goes through, HIPAA, and it runs a prescription history check. And then at that point, it's going to either say the client should be approved for coverage at the end of the application, or it's going to say the client has been declined for coverage, or it's going to say the client qualifies for guaranteed issue. So if it says approved, if it says the client should be approved for coverage, then at that point, go ahead and give them the rate, right? If it says the client is declined, or it says it's guaranteed issue, you need to look at another carrier. You need to go to the next carrier in the list. Okay, so now, Jawan, I can quote you, and then if it comes back as if it doesn't come back as pre-approved, okay, then you don't even tell the client that you're looking at another company. Hey, I'm going to just take a look and see what we have available for you, because this first company is showing that you may not qualify, right? So the client doesn't need to know every single thing that you're doing, but you're trying to, like as Jawan said, pivot out of that situation, because once you quote them, and then they got to come back and say, oh, I'm sorry, you didn't qualify, because now you already gave them a quote. But if you do it in order where you're saying, I'm going to get a pre-approval first, and then you're going back and giving them a quote, most likely at the end, they'll get approved. Now, there are situations where they pass the prescription history check, the first check, but then they get to the end and they don't pass. So in that situation, you get to the end and you let them know that unfortunately you didn't get approved for this product. This is after you've already put the entire application in, right? And so you may need to ask some more questions. And people get caught up. So Jawan, this is what I want to use for an example. So I'll put you through the first check with Americo, right? Because you told me you had high blood pressure. That was it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So now I got it says it's guaranteed issue for Americo. Okay, so I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna act confused for the client. So Mr. Jawan, I see here there's something on your prescription history. Is there something else outside of high blood pressure that you have, like something you've taken, anything that you've even been prescribed that you have not taken? It's gonna still show up on your record.
So I have some something's wrong with my kidneys. But I haven't taken the medicines.
Oh, okay. So you got something with your kidneys.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Do you know what they said it is?
I don't remember, but I know I tried to get some insurance with another company and they declined me, and I don't remember what they said though, but I do know they did decline me. But I know it was about. So now y'all, okay, so let me see I gotta take a look, Mr. Jawan. I'm good. Thank goodness we have all these different carriers, so I can find somebody who's gonna cover you. So I'm gonna put in kidney. And you gotta get good at really digging in and asking questions, because clients will lie. And one thing that people are guilty of being new is, oh no, but they said they're healthy. 9 times out of 10, if it comes back from America with guaranteed issue, they're not telling you the whole story. And you have to remember that everybody doesn't think the same, right? Prime example is people that if you don't ask them if they got HIV is not on the sheet, the client intake sheet, but you need to make that a part of your questions, because people will not mention it to you if you do not ask. Especially if they're undetectable. Right, and so you have to okay. So I asked that you got HIV or AIDS, and oh yeah, but it's undetectable. Okay, you still have it, so we got to look at something different. But if you don't, you got to ask more questions. Is there anything, Jawan, any kind of surgeries or anything you've had? So keep telling me no, there's nothing else. No.
No surgeries.
No surgeries. The last surgery.
So just to have blood pressure.
Yeah, just matter of fact, I'm sorry. I had a surgery probably like about 2 years ago. It was to remove some cancer. That was about 2 years ago.
Oh, 2 years ago. Okay, like you said like 2 years ago. What month and what year?
Ooh, probably 2020, 2020, roughly around.
Let's say 2021 January.
Oh, okay, January. There we go.
January 2021.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that's the thing. Yeah, that's not been 2 years exactly yet, right? So, guys, now I'm going to show you about this cheat sheet. So, I know this is exactly what I'm doing when I'm talking to the client. So now I'm uncovering that he had cancer, and this is what I'm telling you. This is exactly what they do. If you're not very clear on the front end, they'll try to hide stuff. So he had cancer in the last year and a half or so, right? So Americo is the first one on the list. So metastatic, if it's metastatic and recurring, we're going to decline. He's not going to qualify for Americo, period. If it's been within 2 years, so it has been within 2 years, and it says guaranteed. So don't say nothing. Let me look. So it says guaranteed. So Dana, what do we do?
Repeat your question.
See, that's why I'm calling on people. Make sure y'all paying attention. I said it says guaranteed for cancer. 2 years within 2 years guaranteed. What do we do?
You go ahead and complete the application.
Who can answer that question?
You will have to look at further down the sheet or on another carrier. Go with another carrier. There
we go, Yusuf. I'm gonna send you. When we're done, I'm gonna send you $100 in leads. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's right. We gotta pay attention. So I said at the beginning, if America comes back with a decline or a guarantee, then you need to look at another carrier. Thank you, Yusuf. So after Americo, you want to look at Aetna. And I'm just going to tell you the order real quick, guys. Americo, Aetna, Prosperity, Mutual of Omaha. And Mutual of Omaha is not at the beginning. And I'm going to tell you in a minute when you should use Mutual of Omaha at the beginning. So Americo, Aetna, Prosperity, Mutual of Omaha, and AIG is your very last choice. Now there's other carriers in between, but this is the main way we want to look at the carrier. So let's go back to we're going to go back to this cancer within 2 years. So we're not going to use Americo because it says guaranteed. We're going to look at Aetna. Aetna current or treated within 2 years decline. So Aetna's not going to work. Recurrent, this is Prosperity. Recurring or current decline or within 3 years modified. Modified is the same as like a guaranteed issue product. So I don't know, maybe Prosperity. Because the goal is, guys, if we can get somebody immediate coverage, we want to get them immediate coverage. Right? We don't want to get them a policy that's graded if we don't have to. But in this case, because the cancer has been so recent, our only other option, what's our option, Jawan? It's not even on here, but what's the option?
AIG.
AIG, guys, write this down. AIG, again, put a star next to this, whatever you need to do. AIG is your very, very, very last option. And Jawan, be quiet. Who knows why? Jawan got all the answers somehow. You been cheating,
Thank
Jawan?
you.
Everybody trying to answer.
Yeah, because they think I'm giving some more leads away.
Not necessarily. I'm just driving, so I wanted to answer, but they just bought anything.
Huh?
Okay, I couldn't hear nothing. You broke up.
No one fine.
I said,
AIG is the last one because there's a 2-year wait.
Thank you, Sandra. So, and I don't know what you were saying, Ramon. I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you. But AIG is a guaranteed issue product. Guaranteed issue means don't say nothing. What does that mean, somebody? Don't say nothing, Sandra.
Does that
Not
mean
you,
that
Jawan.
there's no way?
Not you, Yusuf.
Okay.
They don't have to answer
Thank you,
medical
Ramona.
questions, and it's a
Yeah.
2-year.
can you hear me?
It's a 2. Yes, I can hear you now. You were correct. Yeah, they don't ask. There's no medical question. So that means everybody can be approved. The catch is that the face amount does not go into effect until after the client has had the policy for 2 years. So what will happen is if the client passed away in the next 2 months and they have a policy with AIG will give their beneficiaries the premiums that they paid back plus 10%. That's all they will get if they die from natural causes in the first 2 years. If they die in an accident, it will pay the full face amount. Okay, everybody got that? So if they die from natural causes in the first 2 years, it's a 2-year wait. I mean, they'll get the premiums back plus 10%. If they die from an accident in the first 2 years, their beneficiaries will get their premiums plus. They'll get the full face amount. Let me start over. If they die from natural causes in the first 2 years, their beneficiaries will get their premiums plus 10%. If they die from an accident in the first 2 years, their premium will get the beneficiary get the full face amount of the policy. If they die after they had the policy for 2 years and 1 day, it doesn't matter how they die, their beneficiary get paid the full face amount. So you don't want to put somebody in a policy that has a 2-year wait if you can find a policy that has immediate coverage, because there's been so many times where I've gone out and I've rewritten somebody's policy because someone else put them in a 2-year wait policy. And I'll say, you know what? No, sir, no, ma'am. I can get you something immediate. And most times they want something immediate. Artemis, you got your hand up?
Yes, ma'am. What if the client is under 50?
So that's a good question. So under 50, between the ages of 40 and 50, we have Great Western. That's guaranteed issue. Under 40, we don't have anything that's going to be a guaranteed issue product under 40 years old. The only thing we have to offer someone under 40 with like a serious health issue is going to be accidental.
Yeah.
You got a question, Jawan?
No, I was just saying accidental death.
Okay.
What is the one under 30? I didn't hear the last part of what you said.
I said under 30 is going to be accidental death.
Okay.
I'm sorry, under 40, not under 30. And then let me real quickly, guys, I'm going to, from the best of my remembrance, I'm going to try to give you the start age of these different products, these different companies, these products, and the maximum premium, the maximum face amount. So for Americo Eagle, Americo Eagle starts at age 50. And the maximum face amount is 35 years old. And I think Americo ends, you guys had to double check the end time, but I think Americo is at age 80. Like they don't go past 80 years old, 80 or 85, but guys, anything I'm talking about, any of these products, you can Google them or go to your agent back office, and you can get more information on these products and how they work. Aetna actually starts at age 40. So from ages 40 to 50, Aetna actually goes up to 50,000. 50 and above, 50 and to another certain age, it goes up to 40,000 maximum. And then I think after they get 80, the maximum is probably 30,000. But again, double check my end amount. And the thing about it, guys, when you go into these different applications, or you try to do quotes, it's not going to let you quote higher than what they even qualify for. So the most important thing is understanding what the start dates are, and you just need to know how old they have to be able to do these products. Prosperity New Vista is 50. Mutual Omaha is 40. Mutual Omaha's product is called Living Promise, and the reason I pulled this one up, guys, because on this cheat sheet, under download session, it has the name of the company and the product, right? Mutual Omaha Living Promise is their final expense product. Prosperity's final expense product is New Vista. Aetna is called Ascendo. Americo is Eagle Premier Series. So when you see somebody post in the group chat about Americo Eagle, it's because they wrote it. They wrote it and they got approved. And Americo is a Americo product. The product is called Eagle. And then AIG minimum age is 50, and the maximum face amount is 25,000. Great Western minimum age is 40, and the maximum the maximum face amount for Great Western, I believe, is 35,000. If I said anything wrong, if anybody caught anything wrong, can you correct me, please? So we got about 10 more minutes, guys. Oh, and then this is the last thing I was going to say. When I mentioned about Mutual Omaha, you want to use the only time you want to use Mutual Omaha first is if you're trying to replace a policy due to price, or somebody's if they qualify for it, number one, and then number two, if they're very price conscious. Mutual Omaha is the least expensive of all of the carriers in most situations, but we're not always shopping for price. One of the mistakes that people make in the beginning, with selling insurance is you're trying to sell from your own pockets, right? And so you think because you can't afford something that your client can't afford it. What might be expensive to you or might be expensive to them, maybe it's different, right? Because we all have different perspectives. So, but you want to again ask them a question. The guy that I wrote this morning, he was price conscious, but I still didn't put him with Mutual Omaha. I found Americo qualified him. And the other thing we're not doing is on my tip of my tongue, we're not going in and quoting a bunch of different carriers, and that makes no sense. Our job, we're the doctors, right? We are the professionals. Whether you're newly licensed or you've been licensed for 15 years, it doesn't matter. We're still the professionals, right? Because at the end of the day, you have a life insurance license. They fill out a form asking for help, and our job is to assist them. So the same thing is when you go to the doctor, Tanisha, does the doctor ask you what prescription you want, or they tell you what prescription that you're going to get? They tell you. Right? So this is the same thing here. I'm not going and looking at, I'm not shopping Mutual, I'm not giving them Mutual Omaha's rates and Transamerica's rates. I'm finding out from their cheat sheet based on their health, who they qualify for, and then I'm going in the order of carriers. So my client this morning, he didn't have any health issues. He had high blood pressure, and that was it. So I knew the high blood pressure is not even on that sheet, because the insurance companies expect people with unless they're taking 3 or more medications, that's what becomes an issue. But they're taking one blood pressure for high blood pressure, one medicine for high blood pressure. I'm looking at America. I'm not looking anywhere else. So but here's something this is why you guys need to Google the different products and do your own research about how each one of these products work, right? Because Americo Eagle has a quit smoking advantage. It has something called a quit smoking advantage. If they're a smoker, they're going to give the client a non-smoking rate for the first 3 years. But again, you guys need to research this stuff because we can't go through we can only go through but so much stuff. But America, because America has a non-smoking rate, it's going to be cheaper than any other carriers anyway. But when you start to call, when you're in the home, when you start to learn the products, then you can start having these conversations. But the way that you're going to get this information, the way you're going to get better at this information is by doing it. You're not like I had this conversation yesterday. Let me call somebody. Previous.
Yes, I'm here.
Previous, if you were so you do watch basketball? What's your favorite sport?
Football, more or less.
Football. What's your favorite team?
Ravens. The Ravens, yeah.
Okay, so do you watch it every Sunday? Like, how often do you watch
it? Not that much. Not every Sunday. I'm not a big fan.
Who's a big football fan? Sorry, Previous. I should have started this. Who's a big sports fan? Nobody?
I'll say me. I'm a Chiefs fan.
You're a what fan?
Kansas City Chiefs fan.
Okay, so Kansas City Chiefs, Dana. So you watch they're playing, you watching them, right?
Yep.
So do you think let's say you watch them every Sunday for the past 30 years. You with me?
Yep.
You think you could go out there and do what they do?
No.
Why?
Because I'm not experienced in football, not experienced enough to go out there and play.
But so you can't just learn by watching. So how do you learn?
You have to do your research and learn.
Research? So if I research football, learn how to play it?
I mean, you can learn the plays and stuff, but not for me to physically go out there and play, no.
Anybody know how, if I wanted to start playing football, how am I going to learn how to play football, y'all?
Show up and practice.
Practice.
Get up, get your field.
You gotta practice.
Practice.
You gotta get out there. You gotta get out there and hit the field.
That's it. That's the only way y'all are going to learn this is practicing. You're not going to learn it by watching. Now you can learn some things by watching, but the way to learn this business, the way to learn which carriers to use, the way to learn which product makes sense for the carriers and why we're using this and which has this and which has that, you got to go out there and do it. But the problem is y'all are waiting to get better by watching, and you're never going to get better by watching, I guarantee it. All the people that have had success, not all the people, most of the people that have had massive success, I went on one appointment, y'all. One. Not one, I went on one. There was no live dials when I started. So I had to learn by doing. Corinne went on one appointment with me. Not 10, one. Right? And there was no live dials when Corinne started. So guys, the way that you get good at this is you have to practice. You have to get uncomfortable because it's going to suck bad. It's going to be bad before you get good. You're not going to start out being good. I don't care how good this thing is getting my phone out. I don't care what your background is. You gotta get started. We got 3 more minutes, guys, with this subject about the products, the carriers. What other questions do we have?
I have a question about the policy that the cash value. How do you know when to put a client in that kind of policy if they're really, if they want something back in return instead of just spending money and they're not getting any?
You said what?
She asks, how do you know when to put a client into a whole life policy? That's all she
Ramona, did you come from another company?
I'm in
You said what?
Reception bad.
I know it's real bad. The reason I'm asking her, she came from another company, guys, because I think she said something about the cash value. Is that what she said there?
I think that's what she said. I think.
Okay. So I know for myself, I'm not selling clients the whole life or a policy based on the cash value. Like, if they ask me about it, I'll bring it up. But the whole purpose is to get them coverage. We're talking about final expense. Remember, they probably don't qualify for anything else. So they don't have a whole lot of options to give to. We don't have a whole lot of options for them because they don't qualify. So I'm not selling them on why they need the cash value. I'm selling them on why they need coverage and the value and with the coverage. Mm-hmm. And we'll talk again about price and all that other kind of stuff and how not. And I probably need to add another part to this, but how to not sell from your own pockets and how to sell value based versus price. With a lot of people, when they get started, just selling the lowest thing possible. And the truth be told, the people that have the smallest policies are the ones that don't keep them. But that's all I got today, guys. Again, I'll post all of the flyers in Telegram because I did not get it. I couldn't find them on my phone. I normally do this on my tablet. So I'm gonna stop.